Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. CBD, THC, life-changing and available in many areas now around the country and certainly in Canada. And we're educating people every time we get together with this gentleman. I don't know anybody that knows more about this topic than he. And not only does he have so many products available and the knowledge, he's got a great staff, and along with his company, his customers, treats him well too, because it's the first and only certified living wage recreational cannabis dispensary in Canada's capital. It is goodnaturecannabis.ca. And the founder and owner, Clayton Armstrong joins. I know a Clayton Thomas.
It's funny. I just have Thomas, one of our good customers, is coming in later on today. And so it's
funny.
Just looking at his order. So I was like, oh, man, did you see that?
Maybe we're vibing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about. You have so many products on your website. I couldn't even count. And I really mean that. There's so many. And we've talked before about the different ways that you can get your cannabis. And it could be in a pre-roll. It can be in a tincture. It could be in gummies. It could be in flour. What's new? Let's talk about some of the new innovations that are going on right now.
New innovations. There is a couple that sort of stand out when you say that. We have one that it's actually a hemp product. It's a CBD CBG spray by Naturally Nutra, and this is a 24 karat gold CBD CBG transdermal spray, which it came out probably, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, but it has taken over topicals. I've been told kind of almost instantaneous relief. I was very skeptical about topicals when I first got in this industry. You're rubbing weed on you and it's going to help. I was just one of those people who didn't believe it. But I kept using it, and it kept helping me. And I was like, maybe it's a placebo. But then there's just too many people. It seems to be helping. So that one has been really kind of a new innovation that seems to just absorb better and quicker.
So let's talk about some misconceptions about topicals, because
sure.
This is what I heard, that even when it's CBD, it can't get into your system because of just I forgot what it was, the cells or, it can't be absorbed. It can help you in muscle issues, feeling better, but it won't show up in a drug test. Let's say if it's CBD, and I would assume it's the same thing if it's THC. Is there any truth to that?
So, from what I understand, topicals, I know this for a fact. Topicals, you can't get high on a topical. It doesn't get past the brain barrier and get into your system that way. So if you are looking for a topical and there's some THC in it, you cannot be afraid of getting high. That's 100%. There is no effect like that from a topical. So that's one thing. You'll see CBD ones, you'll see THC ones, and you'll see ones that are blended. And it just, what is going to work for you, try them both out. But don't be afraid of the THC in a topical is what I would say. When it comes to being inebriated, it definitely doesn't do that. No.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're talking topicals. What about some of the other innovations that are showing up with cannabis?
Water-soluble drops is a new one. They're not necessarily brand new. There was a company out there, Viola, who is actually, I believe, Allen Iverson's grandmother is Viola. He owns that company up here. So they're like a water-soluble drop that you put into your drink, and that one's like a flavorless one. But we have mod drops are sort of taking the market by storm up here as well. We have a lime, a berry, and then an unflavored. And one drop is 10 milligrams of THC, and you can get, I believe there's 60 milligrams in each package.
Wow.
So you have 6 kind of infusions of 10 milligrams that you can put into your drink. The lime seems to go better with more drinks from what I've seen and talked to with people. So that one's really interesting and kind of taking. In Canada, we're only allowed a 10 milligram limit on edibles, but there is like these, we call them loopholes, and this would be one of them where you can buy 60 milligrams in a package because it's a drop. So the definition of an edible is where a lot of these companies are trying to play and get their item, which is ingestible, but not get it classified as an edible. So there's a couple soft capsules, they call them out there as well. Not a big fan myself. They have a really weird texture, and they can't be flavored with sugar. So there's some things like that out to try and negate the 10 milligram limit. But mod drops are like definitely one of the new ones for edibles that are really doing well.
Just for best understanding, the 10 milligram limit, is that for THC and not CBD, or what's the deal there?
That's for THC. Yeah, it's in Canada is a 10 milligram per edible dose is the limit. That in the black market days, or if you're getting your cannabis or your edibles from a non-regulated source, they can write whatever they want on that package. And I have a million people. I need 100, 200. I need 1,000 milligrams from the black market, and I'm like, they can write anything they want on that package. That's not what's necessarily in there. I guarantee it's never what's in there. It could be more, it could be less, it could be nothing. So 10 milligrams, what the government decided was kind of the equivalent of having a drink in intoxication level. But cannabis being so unique and unique to the individual, I would really err on caution with that one. Again, go low, go slow. We've talked about this with edibles because 10 milligrams can be way too much. Your friend, it was way too much. I don't necessarily think, the people that think they need 1,000 milligrams, I don't think that's true. I think you're buying something that doesn't have 1,000 milligrams in it.
Well, I gotta say, thank you. And a lot of times when you see those large numbers, it's on a bag and they multiply, let's say 10 milligrams per gummy. And that gets them up to, the 1,000. And to your point, my friend, it was 10 milligrams of THC, 10 of CBD, and 10 of, I can't remember what the other one was, but it was was it
CBG?
CBN. That's what it was. CBN.
Okay. The sleepy one. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's she woke up sleepy, which wasn't she slept okay.
Groggy.
Yeah. Totally.
And that's again, she took too much, right? We talked about that.
Yeah.
So she'd want to cut that dose, like maybe into a quarter or a half of that dose to try again.
Sure.
And it always sucks when that's your first experience too, because, you might be afraid to try it again. So that's go low, go slow, everyone. Go low, go slow. Because it's a different animal than consuming it through vaping or through smoking. It is much, much different.
Well, interesting. I've learned from you last time we got together that when it is a gummy or something orally, it stays in your system way longer, which I didn't realize that, as opposed to, let's say, smoking it.
Right.
But is it reasonable to think that if you do smoke it, then you got to do it again? So let's say, you a couple of tokes and you wait a little bit and you're feeling relaxed, whatever effect you're looking for. And then now you got to jump back into it, let's say an hour later.
Yeah, it's a more kind of instantaneous effect when you smoke it, and it's less, but your liver converts it when you ingest it to it's different. It's not THC anymore. I believe it turns it into THC. I'm at a loss for the compound, but your liver converts it to something else. So the buzz is different because it is not THC anymore. It's something else. I believe it's THC.
And somebody told me too, when it goes through your system like that, filter through liver and everything else, that you're not getting a full dose. You're only getting, like 60%.
Right.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you were saying that when you ingest it, your body doesn't absorb it all.
Right.
Is that what your question was?
So, you might be thinking you're you're taking 10 mil, but you're really not getting it. I think it's like 60% you're getting, or
Right.
maybe it's 40. I'm not really sure. On your website, I'm seeing products with CB. Yeah, I see some CBN and then CB. Is it CBG?
I got CBG. I got CBC. I have THCV. I have, there's so many of these new isolated compounds. CBN is your sleep enhancer or helper, we'll call it. THCV is apparently an appetite suppressant.
Wow. That's a complete opposite of what somebody would expect.
Yeah, exactly. And this is another new innovation we're seeing in kind of the edibles, and we're seeing it a bit in vapes. But you might notice, or people that have smoked cannabis for a long time, that some of it makes you get the munchies and some of it doesn't.
Right.
So they basically have isolated this compound called THCV, which they believe is the one that doesn't give you the munchies and actually suppresses your appetite. So it's another kind of new wave that's going on, and we're definitely seeing a lot of edibles going with THCV. A couple of vapes that we have with THCV seem to be starting to go. So that compound is a new isolated compound that they're really starting to play with. And then CBG is an amplifier. So whatever it's sort of paired with, it amplifies the effect of that, is what they're claiming. The preliminary research is claiming. So CBG is, I would say, the biggest out of all these minor cannabinoids that everyone is going with. So CBG, CBD together, CBD or CBG, THC together are going crazy because it kind of amplifies the THC, right? So for a lot of people, that's what they're looking for. And it also gives you kind of, I want to say, a relaxing kind of wave over you, but not in a sedative way. That's what CBG does to me. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, it's kind of a wave of relaxation without sedation.
Gotcha. And you know what? While you're talking about that, let's go into sativa, indica, hybrid. Right. There's some misconceptions there. I know some people that won't even go near sativa because they don't want to get jacked up. But then I know others that have felt that way, then had it and said, wow, I expected to be, bouncing off the walls. It was actually good. It was okay.
Yeah. So again, unique to each individual, but some sativas can really give people anxiety. And I'm one of those people. Wow. Certain sativas high in limonene, which is one of the terpenes, seems to, if they're high THC and that high content, will almost give me a real uncomfortable feeling.
Wow.
And I'm a heavy cannabis user. This isn't a tolerance thing. This isn't anything like that. This is to do with the makeup, that sort of entourage effect of the plant that's happening. And then I have other sativas that are energetic and I feel great, and I don't feel like that. So the terpenes are really where you have to look there. Now, I will say this, in Canada and in the States, probably 95% are a hybrid of some sort. We have muddled this plant for a long time, and so to say that, a pure indica, pure sativa, there are very few left out there that are pure. Now, you can have an indica that's been crossed a million ways with a million different indicas and maybe not that many sativas, and it's going to be, it's basically an indica, but technically it's not. So take it with a grain of salt. Most of our cannabis now is what I call designer weed. We've read it a million times with a million, trying to get qualities out of it that we like, a flavor profile or a buzz or something on those lines. So a lot of the cannabis is a hybrid. In Canada, unfortunately, they don't even really go with lineage anymore. So it's someone's opinion, which, again, we've talked about the uniqueness of this for everyone. What may make me energetic might make you sleepy. So if I'm the one testing it, I'm going to be like, oh, it's a sativa. And then you're going to smoke it and go, like, I went to bed, man. So, unfortunately, here you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt because it is opinion-based more than sort of genetic-based. But I will say this with vape carts. So in the States, you have them, and we have them here. They're called distillate carts. And they will say indica or sativa. There is no such thing when it comes to distillate. Distillate is THC taken out of the plant, and everything else that made that plant an indica, a sativa, or a hybrid is gone. And then they put it into a cart, and they add some terpenes, which may or may not affect that high. So distillate carts is kind of a fallacy that there is any difference between them. But when you get into vaping live resin carts and those things, that's when that is going to, again, come true. And it's more like smoking the plant, the whole plant, rather than just an element they've taken out.
And I guess it's reasonable, based on what you said, to think that if it's a hybrid, some people may think, well, it's 50-50. It's really not.
Oh, yeah, it could be 50-50. It could be 90-10. It could be,
oh my gosh,
70-30. That's where it gets really hard to, steer people, and you really have to have a knowledgeable staff because, we have a hybrid menu, but as I said, this one leans sativa, this one leans indica, this one's right in the middle. So finding those balanced ones for certain customers is really important. And some want, like your friend that day, this one makes me bounce off the walls. I don't like it, but I don't want to fall asleep. So we might have, an indica leaning hybrid, but it's got some sativa to not make you sort of sedated. So there's it's a little more complicated than A, B, and C. It should be A, B, and C, but it's a little more complicated. But yeah, hybrids are, we've kind of almost made everything a hybrid. There's very few what they call land race strains out there. Land race being the original plants. There's very few left.
Wow. Okay. I need to get clarity. You said it. I want to make sure I heard it right. So if you see something that's a quote unquote hybrid, it really could be, I don't know, 70-30, 80-20, or 50-50. It's like the Wild West. We have no idea.
No idea. Now, your bud tenders should have an idea. If they're good and they're passionate about this and kind of knowledgeable, they're going to know which one leans which way, or they'll look it up for you. And that's, I always tell my staff, if you don't know, tell them you don't know. And try to find someone who does know or look it up, because there's nothing worse than someone telling you something that isn't true, especially when it comes to this. So, this one, you're just trying to make a sale. I'm going to sell you this one. I don't know. And then they have a really bad experience. Well, that's totally blown that opportunity to have that customer for the rest of your life. And that's what we try to do here at Good Nature is we don't want to serve you once. We want to serve you forever. We want to be your go-to guy or your go-to girl. So really important. Customer service in this industry. You've seen the menu. You've seen how broad it is so important. And if you don't have the staff to kind of guide the consumer, then you're at the whim of marketers, which, don't always have the customer's best interest in mind.
You said something that I'm still stuck on, and I've never heard it. Bud tender. Oh my gosh.
I even have a little trophy here, Bud Tender of the Month.
It's like said. I can't wait to share that. That is just.
Oh yeah.
That is awesome. Final thought here. So I'm looking at concentrates, and I know this is. We're crossing into a different territory here. Like concentrates, resins, hash, things like that. THC, 80-something%. Wow.
Oh, yeah. You're in a very concentrated kind of level of THC, and plant cannabinoids get really concentrated in a lot of these, and they are not for the newcomer. Definitely, if you're just getting into cannabis, you want to take this one real slow and be real careful, but it is, for the connoisseur, let's say, this is some truly amazing stuff. We have one coming. We don't have it yet, and it's called Sour Tangy, and it's by this company called which might not mean anything to you down there. But this one is so delicious, and you can kind of break this one up with your weed in it. And me and my buyer, Mike, who was on the show earlier, we tested it, and oh my gosh, the flavors that come through because of the concentrated terpenes.
Wow.
Just amazing, yeah. But really potent.
What would you do with that? What would you do with that?
So there's a bunch of different ways to consume this. There's something called a dab rig, and these could be electronic or torch-driven, and you're going to heat up to a much hotter temperature than you would be burning it, sort of, and you would drop a little bit in sort of like a pipe or a bong or a rig, and you would consume it that way. Very small amounts, very high temperature, and that's one way. I don't personally like consuming it like that. It's very hot vapor, and it's so I end up mixing it with my cannabis.
Gotcha.
Some are easier than others to do that with. Some can be, there's a diamond concentrate, which is crystallized THC. You can just crush it up and sprinkle it in. There's some resins and butters and batters can be spread with a knife across a rollie. And then there's like sugars that need to be sort of mashed up with the weed and spread out that way. And then there's some that you can't. The only way you're going to be able to do it is in a dab rig. Those ones I personally don't do, but some of the harder ones to kind of red or crumble.
Wow. As soon as you said high temperature and vapor, I felt the burn. So you gotta be careful.
I don't like, unfortunately, like bongs and things like that. I really, this is just a personal thing, I don't like them. I was that guy that grabbed the ashtray beer bottle too many times at the party. Yep. So anytime I smell, if it's not a brand new bong with brand new water, it really does not make me feel good.
Yeah. Listen, I have a friend from way back in the day who, when nothing was available, he would use parts of a pen. Okay. So exactly. Yeah. Amazing business you have going there. And again, you pay your employees what they need to live, i.e. certified living wage, not just minimum. And that's how you take care of your staff and you take care of your customers in the same way. And I just want to share with everybody that, you're in Canada, but you're always looking for anybody that might be interested in taking it to the States. So if you want to check it out, goodnaturecannabis.ca. Clayton, thanks for hanging here. You are just the genius. You are the go-to.
I don't know about that. I definitely know people that put me to shame. So
I don't know.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've talked to many, and not even close to your wealth of knowledge, and you get to the point and you make it clear. Thanks again for being here, and also happy holidays to you, your family, and your staff.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.